Well, good morning, my friend, and welcome to the Pastor's Podcast. It is Tuesday morning, May the 20th, and it's good to have you along with me today as we are in the second day of the week. Had a good service last night here in New Mexico area, and going to finish out tonight in the Los Lunas area, being able to see some of the preacher friends of mine from around the area. I haven't seen in a little bit, and always good to be able to preach for Brother Wooten. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to preach here. And I don't preach out much. I do preach out, but not a lot. And he's been someone I've known for a long time. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Hope that you had a good start to your week wherever you are. And as we're getting ready to keep on going, I want us to be faithful to the Lord. Summertime is around the corner, and everybody needs to be faithful to serve the Lord throughout the summertime. Critical that we serve God no matter where we are. Let's be faithful to serve our God. Well, today, going to talk about something in Joshua chapter 7 in verse 11, where the scripture says, Israel hath sinned, and they have also transgressed my covenant, which I commanded them. For they have even taken of the accursed thing, and have also stolen and dissembled also, and they have put it even among their own stuff. God was very specific about not taking anything from Jericho. He says that they were to destroy everything, burn the city with fire, and not let anyone live. Achan saw an opportunity to enrich himself, and he took some of the gold and the silver and a Babylonish garment that he had hid in his tent. He dug even a hole in the ground to kind of hide some of the stuff with the gold and the silver, and he thought it would never be discovered. However, the moment he took it, he was cursed. And that curse not only affected him, it affected his family and his country. Now, it does not matter how he tried to spiritualize taking these things. The moment God said not to take a thing meant those things belong to God. Now, I want you to notice some of the words God used to describe Achan's sin. He took of the accursed thing. The scriptures say that they have also stolen. In other words, these things were not his because they belonged to someone else. The scripture also says he dissembled. To dissemble means to hide one's true motives. So you'll notice that God said Achan put these things among their own stuff. So Achan tried to use something that was cursed for himself, but it only brought a curse on himself, his family, and his country. Now, when you look at this story, you can't help but see the importance of tithing. I don't care what anybody says, tithing is still in the Bible. Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 and 9 says, Will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me. But you say, Wherein have we robbed thee? And God says, In tithes and offerings. Ye are cursed, God says, with a curse, for ye have robbed me, even this whole nation. Now, when a person takes the tithe and uses it for themselves, they bring a curse on themselves and on everyone around them. Now, it does not matter how you spiritualize not tithing. You are robbing God when you don't tithe. And by the way, I don't care that Billy Graham says that it's not a sin not to tithe. He's also the guy that said that you can be a Catholic and go to heaven without accepting Christ. So I'm not going to go down this road. It's in the Bible. It's in the Old Testament. It's in the New Testament. We've shown this many a time. It's just those who don't want to obey God and want to rob God in this area. They're bringing a curse on themselves. Now, I want you to think about this statement that when it says that you're robbing God. To rob someone is to threaten their life if they don't give you what you want. Nobody ever threatens God and walks away unharmed. You can rob God of that which is his, the tithe, but you'll always walk away cursed. Now, one of the arguments people use not to tithe is that they can't afford to tithe. In other words, they're no different from Achan by taking God's money and putting it among their own stuff because they just can't afford it, supposedly. Now, the brazenness of taking God's money and saying it is yours is foolish. Do you think that do you think that God does not know it's his? My friend, the fact that God says, okay, that you give him 10% of your income, that means 10% is not yours. Only the 90% is yours. So to take the 10% is to rob from God. And do you really think you can hide God's money from yours? God knows what is his. And to hide it with your money to use for personal possessions only brings a curse on you. Furthermore, many have hidden their true motives for why they don't tithe by saying they don't believe tithing is for our day. Now, this may sound spiritual, but tithing is not only in the Old Testament command, but it's also a command of the New Testament. Jesus said we ought to tithe when he taught us to do all that the Pharisees do except rely on our own righteousness to get to heaven. So, and what do they do? They tithe of their income. Now, God says do it all except for depending on your own righteousness. So you can conceal your reason for not tithing, but God still knows it's his money and you're using it. The danger of not tithing is this: it not only curses you, but it curses your family and it hurts your church. I wonder how many families and churches are being hurt because of non tithing church members. If you love your family and your church, it would be wise not to take of the accursed thing, the tithe, and to use it for yourself. Now, I come to you and I just say this to you, and I say it as kindly as I can. I challenge you just to try to tithe for the next 3 months and see if God doesn't supply your needs no differently than your needs are being supplied right now. My friend, what you're going to find is God's going to care for you even more. And you're going to find you're going to have a little bit more at the end of the day, even though you're giving the 10%. You say, I don't know how that's going to work out. It's not for us to figure out. This belongs to God. And because it belongs to God, we have got to obey God so we don't become accursed, because that curse affects everybody around us. Achan's family died because they got into cahoots with him and because he influenced them. My friend, don't you dare bring your family down with you. Everybody is to tithe. Have you ever figured out why you're always behind? Why you can never catch up? Why is it that I try to do what's right, but I'm not tithing, and just seems like financially I can never get over the hump. The reason why is because we just don't stop. My friend, I challenge you. I challenge you. Let's be a people who tithe. Let's not quit. And let's see what God can't do in our lives if we'll only do one thing. Let's continue to tithe. Well, my friend, I hope this is a great help to you today. Now, let's remember today, be good to everyone. Everyone's having a tough time. Have a great day.